cybercab.com.
Right, tearing myself away from the Cybercab launch this morning and having a look a little bit closer to home about what's happening with our jobs. We've got a new local jobs report, Cooper Fitch, putting together their Q3 employment index. And in the studio to discuss it with us, first, we have the founder and the CEO, Trefor Murphy. Trefor, it's lovely to see you. Good morning.
Good morning, Brandy.
Right, so you're looking at employment activity across the region. Are these all brand new jobs rather than people replacing people?
I think it's just probably a normal combination of both. But but overall, very solid improvement in numbers, particularly in Saudi and UAE.
Right. Do you want to give us those numbers?
Sure. So we've seen an 8% increase in the UAE, 7% increase in Saudi Arabia, 3% increase in Qatar. We've seen small drops, 3 to 1% across the other Gulf countries.
Okay, and this is quarter on quarter.
Yes.
Why have we seen those drops in Kuwait and Bahrain and Oman?
Look, I think it's they're just relatively slower markets. Just not as much happening from an investment point of view. So I think it's just a smaller market play. Job growth is still there, but it's just a bit of a drop on the previous quarter.
Okay, and it is, as we say, Q on Q. We saw quite a dip in Q2.
Yes, we did, sure, yeah.
So this is coming off a lower base.
Yeah.
What would it look like annually?
So I think annualized, we're probably talking about 4.5%. I guess depending on how quarter four goes. But yeah, we had a drop of 4% and an overall increase of 6.5% for this quarter on the previous quarter.
Okay, so let's have a look at where the jobs are growing. Let's actually start by looking at consulting, because that's seen double-digit growth. And you and I have spoken a little bit this year about the consulting train potentially slowing down. Yeah. What's actually happening?
So I think overall there's been some clarity around what projects are going to be signed off on, which are the mega and giga projects, which is driving a lot of the consulting job market. In Saudi Arabia. Also in the UAE, Abu Dhabi and Dubai are phenomenally, overall we're seeing more jobs in UAE than we do in Saudi, which is unusual, but there's just slightly more growth on the quarter in Saudi Arabia. So consulting across TMT, retail, infra, within the consulting market, those practices are very, very busy again. It's been a significant engagement in with us and other firms in terms of hiring for those spaces.
Okay, so the type of consultants that are being hired, what does that tell us about where the investment is going?
Well, I guess so you're talking about technology, media, telco. They're big spaces, lots of investment. You look at what's happening within the space, the commercialization of space within Saudi and the UAE. There's a mini space race happening here at the moment for talent. Large involvement in going to the international markets, particularly the European and American markets, to bring talent in. But I think, even retail, which has had a pretty tricky couple of quarters, particularly on the luxury side, we're seeing a lot of investment from the consulting side into that market, into those practice areas now.
Okay, so we're seeing investment in consultants, but if we look at sales and marketing job in luxury and retail, that's where we actually see a decline.
Yeah, so I guess the consultants would argue they're repositioning everything for next year, for next quarter. So yeah, sales and marketing have had a tough quarter, and a previous quarter was pretty tough as well. You could see that evening out over the year. Maybe it'll be slightly lower than it's been in previous years, maybe, but next year there tends to be a rebound. It's very cyclical in these events, but the case could be made for investing consulting now, getting organizations and particular areas ready for what is a new market next year. And then the sales and marketing will rebound off that.
If sales and marketing is struggling, though, is that not a little bit of a canary in the coal mine, particularly on the sales side?
Canary in the coal mine?
In terms of what we're seeing longer term in the economy, people bring consultants in for a number of reasons, but usually when people are looking strongly across the region, they're hiring more salespeople.
Yeah, we've seen that. I mean, I think overall you'll just see the number will kind of, equal itself out. But a 6% drop in sales and marketing positions, and it's predominantly been the luxury side of things, is much more of an overhang, and where luxury is worldwide. I mean, our European and Asian offices are seeing exactly the same with luxury. People are just being a little bit more cautious on those kind of, particular spends at the moment. So I'm not particularly concerned about that.
Okay, well, we've got legal hiring up 9%, finances is double digit. Again, in what specialisms, and what does that tell us about what's happening in the wider economy?
I think overall we're seeing a lot of the organizations that are very much indigenous here. So I mean, the way we kind of look at it is sovereign wealth funds are investing in very particular sectors. So they're investing in fintech, hospitality, and real estate predominantly, as we see it from a job creation point of view. So all of those markets are doing very well. Last year, there was a bit more on the retail side. So when we talk about sovereign wealth funds, we're talking about 600-700 portfolio companies that are either invested or owned by sovereign wealth funds. So we see that as they're the areas of growth. In any market, you have particular organizations that we would have worked with for many years, struggle for 6 months, go back into a recruitment cycle again. See exactly the same with consulting. Q1, Q2, very quiet on consulting, and then a bounce back up.
Okay, so where's it all going, Trevor? What do you expect to see hiring-wise for this final quarter, and what kind of wages are people being hired at? We've got a minute left with you.
Yeah, so I think as we're already in quarter four for us, obviously, so we've seen probably a continuation of quarter three, maybe 2 or 3% growth for the final quarter. It could be more than that. I guess we just have to wait and see. But, indicators are UE economy, UE job creation is at probably an all-time high. Saudi Arabia is still doing very well, but we see that there's been an overall drop in job creation in Saudi Arabia. That's still coming off a very...
Trefor Murphy, founder and CEO of Cooper Fitch. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
It's the Business Breakfast.